Righto, Thoroughbreds. Welcome back to another week. We are Penalty Broncos, the number one Bronco podcast that we listen to. I'm coming to you from the Bandwagon Bar. Langers, he's still doing godlike things down the coast, so he won't be here today, but he hopes to join us next week. We do have Ringer, though. Ringer, mate, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Britto, how you going, mate? Testing out the new microphone, so we'll see if that bloody plays the game for us tonight. Yeah, mate, been a busy week. Had to go to Mount Isa and get some gear and tear around the place. Me and wife are here on our own at the minute, so you know what it's like running. There's always something deciding to try and die on you when you're here on yourself. So keeping on top of that, mate. Weekend tipping wise, if you've done good tipping this week, I think you don't know what rugby league football is. And we definitely had a bit of a downer on Saturday, but we'll pull ourselves out of it. Mate, how about you? How's your week been?
Yeah, mate, it's been pretty flat out, actually. Work picked up a little bit there. Got a bit of stuff going on at next month wrapped around that. But other than that, we're sort of just cruising along. The kids are full swing back into soccer training. Little bit of swimming training in there, bit of dance and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, sometimes I pass myself going back the other way with that flat out in the afternoons. But
with your absolute
we'll get there.
Of children.
That's it. We got to do basketball so we can actually put it field a full court. I reckon.
Yeah, all at the one spot. Love
it. But yeah, other than that, the week's been pretty good. A little bit of rain happened after Alfred. Some snuck up here and whatnot. So went to the Cowboys Sharkies game.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just before our boys ran out, so we were there. I was there with the younger three, and a cousin of theirs. So that was pretty good to get out and get to Queensland Country Bank Stadium, test that out with
stadium, isn't it? You got to give them that. It's a pretty shit hot stadium, really.
Yeah, and like we were on the bottom tier sort of thing. Like we were 10 back from the front, and great view.
Yeah, okay.
You could see nearly everything. I mean, it's no Suncorp. You know,
No.
They could only afford one screen down the other end, but we won't hold that against them. But no, it was good to get out with them, race back here for the game, obviously, and watch what happens. So unfortunately, but we'll cover that in a little bit. But yeah, good times. Well, we might as well rip the Band-Aid off on this one. I was a bit painful, obviously, on the night. Wasn't the result that we were after, but after looking at everything, rewatching it today, looking at the stats and whatnot, I've come around. I'm not stinging as much as I was. I don't know about yourself or whatnot, but yeah, we'll get to the stats and why I'm feeling that way and why I'm feeling a little bit confident going into the future rounds. We were down in Canberra, GIO Stadium, on Saturday night. Capacity there is 25,011, and they ended up filling 18,884. So it was a good crowd. First half was 16-10 to the Raiders, with the second half being 16-12 again to the Raiders, which unfortunately that meant a 32-22 loss. We down by 10 points there. Arthur's had an absolute night out, thankfully, for my SuperCoach team.
Amen.
Yeah, and Selwyn also crossed there with Rano kicking at 75%, 3 out of 4. So it wasn't really the result we were after, but I'll let you do a bit of a breakdown, mate. What are your thoughts on the game there?
Yeah, Britto, in the moment was definitely cursing to the Lord and Saviour about how we were sort of playing that game. But as you said, you rewatch it and you go through the stats and whatnot. Like you said, it really is a tale of we just really made terrible errors at the exact wrong time every time. Like, as we said, you know, Cobbo gets that ball down. I still reckon he did. The ball's an oval, so I don't know how it can be simultaneously on a try line and a sideline when the balls have got a point on it. But anyway, we'll go back. We won't dwell on that. And, Dean Mariner just promoted that ball. He probably would have ended up in goal if he, didn't pick up anyway. But, it's just tiny little things like that. Mate, we're back in it. Reno kicks one of them, we're back to even, So,
Yeah.
yeah, and even, like you said, Big X dropped that offload from Hetherington, which could have led to another try. So, that we had our opportunities, we just blew them at the wrong times. We didn't defend our line as well as what I would like, especially Ricky really found the Jack Gajaski and Ben Hunt little alley down there. That let in 2 tries on its own, just in that one little pocket. Nolly 3. Jack didn't have a great night defensively, mate. I don't know, he just seemed a bit lost there. I think he was trying to protect Ben, but wasn't worried about the big, huge bastard with the ball that was running at him, sort of thing. So that was a bit disappointing. Reese had an absolute shocker, mate, but if he has another game like that this year, I think we'll all be very surprised. It was just seemed distracted, like it, and same thing. Not one thing he was doing, except for the biggest one that gets me is when they kick it dead off the kickoff. Like, it's just like, why? We've got it. Anyway, that boils my piss, that does. But anyway, all the other things, he did knock it on here and there, and then there was that one awful pass that went over the sideline. But I mean, it's not as if it wasn't on; they just didn't execute. And it's the second game in the year, all new combinations. So I'm going to give him that game as a bloke that's watched Reese pretty closely. Like, people are going to jump all up and down and try and belt him down for it, and they already have in comments and whatnot. But I mean, watch the next 3 weeks, mate. He could put on 10 tries in 3 games, score fucking 5 himself. Like, I think everyone just needs to pump the brakes a little bit, like we were saying before, and just, it's the second game of the year. We made mistakes like we couldn't bloody possibly make any more. The Canberra Raiders played probably their best game that I've seen them play ever. They were hungry. They were incredible in defence. They were, they looked fit as hell. And they got us by 10 in a game where we bombed 4 tries. So I don't think it's panic stations yet. I would like to, if that doesn't clean up next week, obviously, then we start to worry. But, Payne Haas, mate. Payne Haas was incredible again. Offloading obviously becoming a big part of his game now, which is gold for the Broncos and anyone that owns him in SuperCoach. I think Hetherington was good, mate. He did tackle it, like nothing really come straight through the middle there. It was always on the edges where they broke us down. A few times, actually. Even the one where Horsburgh got a really late offload, that was down that same alley with Jack and Hunty. So, Benny Hunt, mate, he got found out in defence a couple of times, but Christ, he had them on a string down that short side, putting asses over for 2 absolute rippers. I thought there's a fair few upsides in there. I think Mariner obviously had a few defensive mistakes early on, but holy hell, that kid's got some wheels once you get him in some broken field. Like, it looks like there's no space there, and next thing he's out the other side and no one's touched him. Like, he is a very silky mover. And I was really happy for Ben Pecura, mate, to get an actual hit out. I thought Ben looked really good. He looks huge this year. So there's positives to take out of it. I think a lot of it we can fix by simply holding onto the pill. So, that did creep into our game last year, but I don't think Madge is the type of bloke that's going to let that shit slide a couple of weeks in a row. So I dare say there'll be a few boys in the sandpit trying to tackle Payne and Paddy, stiffen those shoulders up a bit, and there will be a hell of a lot of passing drills to make sure you don't drop the ball. Bit of baby oil on the ball for the training sessions, mate, I reckon. So, again, obviously disappointing in the night, but when you sit back and time cures all wounds, done it. So when you sit back and look at it, I really think that, a couple less mistakes and we get away with that game. So, we'll see how we go next week. How do you see it, mate?
Mate, I big positives I took out of that whole scenario. I know that there's a lot of comments online. Oh, here we go. We're back to 2024 and whatnot. But I mean, you really got to have a look at it for what it is. Like you said, we left points out there. Reece, now, my little theory with the reason that Reece was so quiet is that we stuck to our game plan of what was supposed to happen. We were supposed to, get ourselves out of trouble, get ourselves to positions on the field, and then Benny Hunt and all that would make the calls from there. And as we were getting to it, we would make an error and we'd have to start again. And just so Reece wasn't involved, there was no time for him to be involved.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, Jesse's first 2 tries came from errors that the Raiders made, and we made them pay in that next set.
Exactly.
I think the first try for Arthur's was tackle 3, off an error, and then the next one I think was tackle 4 as well, or something like that. So, yeah, I had all sorts of positives coming out once I looked at the stats and everything, and really broke it down. Piakura, mate, I think he played himself potentially back into a jersey. In saying that though, depending on what Madge wants to do, he might have told Jackeski that he's got that jersey till at least round 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll reassess from there, sort of thing. So, and Mariner, boy, did he pull himself back into contention when Staggs comes back, and one of him or Sibasaki have got to drop out. But yeah, it looked like almost as if he had a bit of something up his ass. Anyway, he looked like he wanted to win the game for us, sort of thing. Like that might have been his way of thinking, well, this is how I can get my spot back, sort of thing. I can win a game here and be a hero, sort of thing. And he gave it a good crack. Cobbo, absolutely loved Cobbo and what he did. That hit that he did on Young to force a dropout, mate.
That's Hudson Young that was given Hunting and Renault and that shit all night, eh? And he just nah, bro.
Yep. And that's the New South Wales, second rower sort of thing. So we might be getting close to Origin Cobbo back again, which will be devastating. So, and then he did make a mistake early on, and it was good to see that he still went ahead and he still caught them balls above his head and made breaks and did what he had to do. And that, mate, that was so close to being a try. I'm on the fence whether it was a try or not. I mean, it would have been huge if it had a come off sort of thing. Like that's almost try of the year straight up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I'm not as devastated as I've seen some people online are. Mate. Anyway, we reached out to the Thoroughbreds and we asked who their man of the match was, and quite a few of them came back with Jesse. Mainly off of the back of his trifecta, of course, with the tries and whatnot, keeping us in the game. One of them, he had a bit of work there to do. It wasn't, it wasn't as easy as most winger tries are, but he ended up with 12 points, 3 tries. He did 16 runs for 136 metres, 39 post contact. He had 2 line breaks, 6 tackle breaks. 6 seems to be the theme of the night. There was a lot of people with 6 tackle breaks, but not much more. He didn't have to do much defence, and that'll show you exactly where the Raiders were trying to punch through us. He did 1 tackle and had 1 miss.
Yeah.
So all night, and then if you had jumped over, I'll quickly get the stats now while I'm looking at it. If you jumped over the Mariner side, he did 15 tackles.
Yeah.
So you could really see what was going on there with the Raiders. And then, Arthur's ended up with 2 errors, but in a game where it was what it was, that's, what's going to happen. So, for our man of the match, mate, I couldn't go past Payne. Mate, it just a huge superhuman, effort. He played 57 minutes, 2 28-minute stints or 30-minute stints, whatever you want to say. 18 runs for 149 metres with 67 post-contact, and that was the most in the game.
Yeah.
So this is where Thoroughbreds, as you're listening, we're going to try and start to put it in perspective, just how well the Raiders played and only just got away with a win compared to how poorly we played and still managed to keep ourselves in the game. Payne had the most post-contact metres. You would have thought that Papali'i or Horsburgh even would have given him a nudge. He dusted them. The only person to run for more meters was Sebastian Chris and Dean Mariner. Yeah. So 2 centers.
Making breaks.
Yeah, that's it. So he also topped the meters there when it comes to truck and nut. He had 4 tackle breaks, 7 offloads, and that was the most by a long shot. I think the next closest was 2 or something like that. And he made 36 tackles, 0 missed, and 1 ineffective.
Yeah.
Huge. 1 error as well. I tried to find what that error was. I don't think it was anything from what I could see, and I tried to quickly substitute, but what I can see, it was after the Cobbo try. He made an error there. It must have been as they were coming out and giving away something. So, and again, it was just compounding. We go down there, we miss out on some points, then we make an error and we invite them back down, sort of thing. So it was just compounding errors at the wrong time that sort of just, we never got on the front foot. So,
and I really like what Madge is doing with Payne, where he didn't panic and just leave him on there and leave him on there and leave him on there. Like, he just bought him, like, it's obviously a plan there to try and give him about that 60 minutes. And in that time, mate, he's doing magical things. So, I think that's a good thing that, like, they didn't go away from the Payne plan and just sort of, we're not going to burn him out early on anyway, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I also noticed that last week wasn't a fluke with Carrigan. He still played big minutes. And they sort of still stuck with that same bench rotation. Hetherington coming off for a break. So it's definitely something that they've worked on. It's not, it wasn't because Hetherington was gassed last week that he had to come off or something like that. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I was also like the comments that Madge made in the press conference. He basically, the journalist pointed some things out and he goes, I'm going to leave those comments to myself. I'll tell that to the playing group and we'll work it out from the group. So he obviously knows what he's looking at. He knows what he's looking for. He'll have a chat with them this week. Go, righto lads, what are we doing? And we'll fix that and move on. So I do feel nervous for the Cowboys coming up. Not just, they'll be up for it. It's a Broncos game. But I think a Madge run Broncos outfit after a loss like that will be a different beast to what they're used to.
Yeah. And back at home, mate, like, sure.
Back at home. There should be a good crowd, Thoroughbred. Make sure you just get down there. I know a couple of you have reached out and said that you'll be at the game. So take some photos, send it through to us, all that sort of shit. It'll be great. I'll get into a bit of team stats here and we'll try and point out a few little things here. Possession ended up being 52% towards the Raiders, 48% for us. Completion rate. Now, this is why we didn't fucking get it, right? 79%. So that, they weren't in that 80% range where you want to be either, but they were up there. 64% for us. Yeah. Horrendous sort of stuff. Yeah. So we'll be looking to fix that.
If you're missing a third of your opportunities, you got no hope.
Yeah.
Do you? No matter who you play.
That's it. And it's not like we had 37 opportunities. We had 37 goes with the ball. Raiders had 39.
Yeah.
We just didn't execute. They executed 31 of theirs, and we did 24.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So you're having a look at that. The tackles that we missed out, or like the runs that we missed out on, huge when you do that. So
and all errors, like it's obviously compounding, but I mean, like they'd happen at silly times. It'd put us on the back foot. We'd have to, and then once we got back up there, the desperation kicks in and you make another error, just silly shit like that. Like the Big X coming on, not playing the ball properly just when we're starting to get a roll on, it's just tiny shit that goes, come on, this is the stuff we get out of our game. It's the same thing. We said it all last year, mate. We complete, even at 75% in that game, we'd probably fucking win. So,
yeah. No, that's it. And like you said at the start as well, that game, Canberra nailed their game plan.
Everything.
Ricky would have been so fucking happy with that. Exactly what they were doing. He would have been, no wonder he was jumping up and down on the sideline and whatnot. It's good to see Ricky
Mate,
smiling.
and Canberra, if they stay not injured, if like Fogarty doesn't get injured, which is a gem, he's a gun now.
He is. Yeah.
And their forward pack, if they keep injury free, they'll fucking give it to anyone that comes down there if they play like that. Like,
yeah, 100%.
They're
100%.
Obviously trying to make it a fortress. Like they really, they're pretty questionable. Some of the bloody line speed, because it seemed to be as soon as dummy half passed the ball, there was someone in the bloody runner's face. But anyway, we won't get into that sort of delving into that sort of detail. But it's just something I noticed. Okay, we'll talk about it now. Anyway, while we're on it, mate, do you think that they fucking laid all over us constantly? Like, there was blokes in the ruck. They were falling over the top of us when we were trying to play the ball. They were bloody, after the held call, they were bloody turtling us around onto our back. Mate, they seem to just lay all over us all game. And any time we done anything, we got penalised for it. So I know you can't, I'm not blaming the ref, but it just seemed a bit obvious to me that they were really slowing the ruck down, which is a tactic, and it's good if they got away with it. But I mean, God, it seems so stark, the difference to me.
Mate, I'll tell you, and it's funny that you mentioned that. The first penalty that was given away in the game at a minute 18 was Easton Strange, slow peel. Yeah. So straight away, they were testing the ref out. Like, what can we get away with here? Ruck infringement was Josh Papali. That was the second one. Then we got a set restart. Then we did the line dropout. Then it was hand in the ruck at 4 minutes 53, Tom Starling. Yeah. And shout out to Tom Starling, mate. It was absolute pest on the night.
It is.
He was doing everything right. But yeah, I feel like they're playing. They obviously know that our offloads are a big thing, as with any other team. But we're particularly good at it with Pete Payne and Carrigan running up the middle there. But they were that busy in the ball area that our boys had a full-time job keeping a hold of the bloody thing, let alone looking for fucking space to get it free. But I don't know. Like they definitely, I know Payne tried a lot. Yeah. He was definitely the one leading the charge and slowing them down from their ruck speed. Ricky had a go. I did notice that Ricky was making a massive effort to put them on their back. Yeah. Trying to not let them gather their front. Kobe had a go as well, but other than that, they were just too good. Big Red running up the middle, getting to his front as soon as he could. They nailed their game plan. And if they can do that for another, 24 weeks, they'll be playing finals footy, or at least semi-final footy anyway. So
definitely. And that's exactly what you said. Payne seemed to be the only one that picked up that I don't think this ref's going to ping us for being a little bit slow. And because every time they got down our end and Payne had someone, he'd dick about and he'd make it sure he was off. But I mean, he just put that extra half second in there to slow him down. And I think there was a missed opportunity for us all not to just at least test the ref out a bit more in trying to slow him down. But anyway, it touche to them, mate. Good on them for bloody picking that up. And because it definitely frustrated us into those errors and into that chasing points mode. So, kudos to Ricky, the little bastard.
And our play the ball speed on average was half a second slower than
all
them.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and just that little bit to get back, get set, and get going again. It was definitely on that. All run meters, I was actually quite surprised with this, considering the line breaks that I thought that they did make. They did 1,564 compared to our 1,490. Yeah. Not a massive gap there, what I was expecting. Post contact as well, 615 to 523. A couple of line breaks will soon sort that out, sort of thing. Exactly. Talking about line breaks, they made 7 compared to our 4. But it was the meterage after the line breaks that was the killer. Tackle breaks, 50 tackle breaks compared to 40. Now, that's a lot of tackle breaks regardless. I mean, even if we made 40 and they made less, that's still a lot of tackle breaks going on for a game. Yes. So it was a busy game. Average set meters. This one I thought was really interesting. Their average set was 40.12 meters. And we were right there with 40.29. Nothing in it. Like, they were just executing better than what we were. Simple as that. Kick return, 112 to 160. Pretty fair there. When you're completing your sets and getting to your fifth tackle, of course, the other team's going to return their kicks. We doused them in the offloads, though, 7 offloads to 13. So
painted the same amount of offloads as they did.
Yeah. So, I mean, take that as what you will when it comes to, reading the stats and whatnot. Kicking meters, 388 to 394. So we weren't far off there. That was helped by a 40-20 by Adam Reynolds. And just a little warning shot to the competition as well. Owen Paddy absolutely smoking that ball towards the end of the game into the in-goal. That kid has got an absolute boot on him, and keen to see what he can do. I know he's the Raiders, but you got to respect it when you see it. That was a huge kick. And
he's only like 5 foot nothing. And usually, Burton's a big, rangy looking dude that kicked the shit out of it, He's not a big man. And he fucking humped that. Like, it landed at about the bloody 15 or something. Like, if he got that would have been 10 out. So,
kick defusal ended up being 56% to 62%. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I believe we put up the same amount of bombs and grubbers as what they did. Effective tackles, again, 84.06 effective tackles to the Raiders, 83.86 to us.
Yeah.
We were both tackling our hearts out, right up there in the defense. Tackles made, 327 to the Raiders, 343 to us. That's only a difference of 3 sets worth of tackles. That was the difference. Ineffective tackles, they actually had more, 22 to our 16. Errors, 10 to 14. So 10 to the Raiders, 14 to us. And those errors, those 4 errors, I can guarantee were either right on our try line or right as we were trying to attack and score points, and it just killed the momentum. Penalties conceded, we gave away 14, so that's going to be a big thing that I think Madge will nail down on, just that discipline. Ruck infringements were even, 2 apiece, and we ended up with 2 on report, but we'll get that to later. Nothing serious, nothing that's going to affect us for next week against the Cowboys. So, for the top players, most tackles, Corey Pakes, 44. Now, that was the most in the game. The second closest was Zach Hoskins with 40. So, Pakesy getting into his work there. Dean Mariner with an absolute monster, 231 metres in run metres, thanks to that breakaway that he did there towards the end. But in perspective, Sebastian Chris was the one that came in second, was 163 metres. So he had him by quite a distance there. Most line breaks went to Mariner and Arthurs. They had 2 apiece, tied with Sebastian Chris and Matty Nicholson from the other side there. And then most points was Arthurs in 12. Most post-contact meters, we already talked about Payne at 67 there. Tomoko made 62 post-contact. Most runs was Payne again with 18. He tied that with Zach Hoskins, second only to Patrick Carrigan and Corey Horsburgh. So the big boys and an edge there getting in amongst the work. Most offloads, Payne again. Next closest was 2, as I said. And then the most tackle breaks, there was 5 players on 6. And that was Cobbo, Mariner, Sibasaki, Arthurs, and Ricky. From the Raiders, Sebastian Chris made 8, and Tomoko, Young, and Nicholson made 7. So, again, like Thoroughbreds, we had 5 at 6. They had 3 at 7 and 1 at 8. And we only lost by 10. I'm trying to really just try and, if yous are all worked up about it and yous are wanting to throw the toys out of the cot, we'll just calm down a bit. And I'll say it now on record. I'm predicting a bit of a cricket score against the Cowboys next week. I think it'll be very very methodical how they go about their work. So,
definitely.
All right, so we've got a bit of a different run sheet here at the moment, how we're going to go through the stats. Before, I used to just bring up the best individuals and we'd walk through it. I feel like that didn't really paint the right picture, didn't really shine the light on all the players. So we've got it now. We're going to run through the back line, then we'll run through our halves. That includes the hooker, and then the engine room with the forwards. Then we'll look at our bench, and we'll just compare how they all went, sort of thing. And it'll give us our chance to point out the players that we liked and what we've seen during the game and whatnot. So first up is the back line. We've got Reece Walsh, Selwyn Cobbo, Dean Mariner, Jamat Sibasaki, and Jesse Arthurs. Just quickly with Walsh, I'd like to bring up, I've seen it would be hard being Reece Walsh and trying to survive online with the social media. The shit that I have seen just today, and it started to creep in instantly after the game, a little bit during the game, but it really ramped up this morning while I was strolling through the socials. People are calling for him to be playing Q-Cut, and like, holy shit, guys, like, you just need to calm down. Like, I'm not saying it to everyone, obviously. I'm more pointed towards the people who, I don't know, probably aren't in our group anyway.
And mate, they're like fair weather friends, eh? Like, cross the mind.
Yeah.
They all want to jump on his dick when he's bloody doing great things and then shit down his throat. And sorry, but just quickly, most of those errors are, if he wasn't the one trying to get us the win at the end, people would be jumping up and down anyway. Like, he was trying shit and it wasn't working, and that's what happens to Reece. Sometimes it fucking works every time, sometimes it doesn't. So,
at the end of the day, he made 4 errors.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna really cry over 4 errors. I actually expect Reece to make 4 errors a game. The kicking dead thing, I kind of understand. It definitely boils me. I don't know how we do it with the amount of practice we have in the game now and whatnot. But at the same time, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the Raiders to be starting their set as close to that dead ball line as they can to get our line speed down there to stop them before the 10 metre. And it just didn't work out.
Explanation for, how you play golf sometimes and you go, oh, I'll just do an easy swing here, and it's like the most precise drive, beautiful, straight down the centre you ever hit. That must be what happens, because I'm sure they're thinking of it. I'm sure they know not to kick it dead, but sometimes it must just come off perfect.
Yeah.
Because it just, how can you do that?
In this day and age as well, I remember when we were at high school, mate, and if anyone kicked it dead, you're like, oh, that was a massive kick. Now they got to actually back it off a little bit.
Back it off, exactly.
Yeah.
Bit of helium in the tilt, mate.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, I feel sorry for Reece. He just cops it no matter what sort of thing. So, but again, he was trying. He made 13 runs. Like, I'm pretty,
he was trying to get
he was involved. Yeah. So, anyway, how did you see the back line, mate?
You said. Sorry, but exactly like you said. He couldn't get involved because we dropped the fucking ball every time it was time for us to, do something. So, it's pretty hard as a fullback if you're dropping the ball and playing 3 every bloody second set and you're pinned down your own end. What do you want him to do? He's not exactly a big body. You want him taking hit-ups to try and get us out of trouble? Like, I don't know, mate.
There's a couple other lads that would take it, like...
He's too hot. He's too hot. Like, people are just going to hate him, I think. But anyway,
exactly.
We'll stick up for Reece.
That's it.
Got your back, bro. But that I just can't. Yeah, I can't understand. I understand the frustration at the time because I was the same. Like, I was swearing my guts out too. But to call for him to go to Q Cup and that's just ridiculous. Like, Madge will no doubt get him doing some tackling bag shit and bloody baby oil on the ball, and if you drop it, you got to tackle pain for 10 minutes. Like, I'm sure that sort of shit happens, and he'll be back. And next minute, all them blokes that are telling him to go back to reserve grade, he puts on 8 tries in the next 3 games. Well, they'll all be coming back, bloody kissing his ass again. So I don't know.
Yeah, One of them, I'm sure, was a troll because he called for Hayes Perham to get a start next week, and I was like, mate, you're so far out of the loop that's got to be for shits and giggles, surely.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from. Best of luck, Reese, if you hear this for next week, mate. We're backing you. Cobbo. I just like to give a shout out personally in the back line to Cobbo. Feel like he had a great game. He had some good catches, great hits in defence, a couple of errors in the game, but I thought he was a shining star. I mean, if he had scored some points, he'd be right up there for man of the match. Just have a quick look at his stats here. So, he did, what do you have there? All runs, 15 metres. He did 15 runs, had 50 post-contact metres.
Yeah.
Tackle breaks 6, offloads 2. His tackles, he went 6, 3, and 0. So 6 tackles made, 3 missed, 0 ineffective, and he had 2 errors. Solid game in a losing team with big pressure.
Mate, but one of those kick defusals where he took the ball at full stretch above his head was like, there is very few players that can do that. Like, he is so talented, and he's figured out how big he is. I think Selwyn's in for a fucking huge year. I really like how he's getting aggressive in that. Like you said, Hudson Young coming out of that's early on in the game, and he just nub-rod him back into the thing, bodied him properly.
Fucking did it easy too.
Did it easy. But and the meters he's making for us out of the backfield, because, other than Subasaki, Mariner, Jesse's got a bit of size about him now, but he still sort of hasn't learned properly to sort of hit the line hard. But Cobbo's making all our back 3 meters for us. And, when he can diffuse kicks like that, and was an absolute blade of grass away from getting a try in the corner, like you said, that could have been a try of the year contender. Yep. I think he's going okay. I think Cobbo's in for a huge year, and he's not going anywhere. We're keeping him now forever. Stay away from him, anyone else.
Because how he catches them balls gives me absolute heart failure.
Yeah.
While I'm during the game, but I mean, who's going to out jump him when he's catching like that?
Exactly.
Like, you got Daniel Tupu from the Roosters, maybe, but other than that, there's nobody reaching up as high as that.
Best day, but he's 10 foot in the air when he jumps and he's full stretch up. Like, good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Lomax, maybe, if he does an AFL screamer or something off his back.
Smacky.
But other than that, I mean, the back line here, they tackled at 65.3% efficiency. They made a few errors. I feel like that would probably be a focus come tomorrow. How many errors the back line made. They don't often get a chance. It's the guys in the middle that are always under the most pressure when it comes to holding onto the peel and everything. So you expect them to make more errors than what you would your back line. And the last thing that I'm sure a front row forward wants is to bash himself up the field. I mean, to watch the winger knock it on sort of thing. So, and then he's got to go back to tackling. So that might be a bit of a focus. The back line scored the most points in the game, obviously. They made the most runs. They did 72 runs combined. Most post-contact meters, 225. And then most line breaks as well. So, and then they made the most tackle breaks, which you would expect, 26. Coming on from there.
Defensive tidy up there, mate. But we got to remember that Gemma and Dean Mariner are playing out for another centre spot because Katoni stays in.
Yeah.
So it's completely like everyone giving shit to Mariner. He's usually a left centre for a start, and he's playing where Katoni used to play. So pump the brakes once again. To give him time to figure out. And I think it just comes down to a bit of trust. I think that'll come with a few more games. Like, Cobbo's going to get his winger, so we'll just leave him. I think Dean's just got to, stay on his man and get his body in front, and, others will clean it up.
Yeah.
But he's out of position, mate. That's not where he plays. He hasn't played there ever. So.
And he played all last year on the wing. Centre is tenfold harder to defend than anywhere else on the field. So, just quickly as well, while we're still talking the back line, so it's relevant, Cobbo taking on Tomoko on the sideline there towards the back end. Boy is quick. Like, I know he lost 6 kilos, so he's got feet for days sort of thing, but holy, I was like, oh, we're going over the sideline here, and there's like a racehorse getting his nose out in front. It was really good to see.
A couple of steps to wind up, but holy shit.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else for the back line, mate? Anything else catch your eye?
No, not really, mate. I think they'll be working on defence and hands this week. Like we said, they nearly got us the win, so, clean up a few errors and they'll be fine.
That's it. All right, we'll move on to the halves there. We got Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds, and Corey Pakes. So what have we got there? Points, Adam went with obviously the six kicks that he got at 75% conversion rate. All runs, they made 15 runs in it collectively there. Ben Hunt with 8, which you were deemed to expect. Corey didn't really... I mean, that just shows how tight the Raiders were with their markers. Corey didn't really have a chance to do any runs. Out of that dummy half mark, he only managed 1. Not a lot in the post contacts at all. Line break assists was only 1. Try assists, Benny had a few there. Rano had a few. But I think the big glaring thing here is the tackle efficiency. They were tackling at 84.2%. Pakesy with a huge load, 44 in the minutes that he played. So that was good. They tackled 80 all up, 12 misses and 3 ineffective, and only 1 error from what when I was looking at the stats. I know that they get updated later on, but only 1 error between the 3 of them. So that was really good.
Yeah, mate. I think obviously everyone's bagging Hunty, and he did miss a couple, yes, but Matty Nicholson's a bloody big rampaging bull there. Like, and I really think that's because his second row wasn't helping him out real much. Jack just was in the wrong spot a couple of times, and they got him in the wrong spot. Raiders did a really good job of isolating that stuff, but come up with only 4 missed tackles when you've got those fellas really identifying you all night. Like, he grass cut him a couple of times there. He made really good tackle, Benny. Renault, he's got down 8 missed. He's got Huddy Young coming at him all night when they're on the front foot. And Hudson Young didn't have a huge effect on the game, really. Like, he might have shrugged Renault out a bit, but he got in front of him enough to slow him down to get the cavalry there. Pakesy was incredible, I think. Then, he only took 1 run out of dummy half, but if we're half a second behind on tackle, on play the ball speed, if the markers are set, there's no point in the hooker taking scoot. So we can't blame him for that. We just weren't winning the ruck. But, mate, if in a game like that, that's what his job was. Service and make tackles, and he done that. So I'm really happy with Corey. Looks like he loves it too, eh? He looks like he loves putting he puts his head in places where most people wouldn't put their fucking feet, but he done a really good job, mate. I was really happy with it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was pretty happy with Corey. We'll get on to the bench in a bit. I'm not too happy with a few of the replacements that did come on. Couple of brain explosions there, but I thought the halves were solid. We just didn't hold the ball, didn't execute again, which has been the whole mantra. We'll move on to the engine room there. So we've got Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas, Jack Wasilski, Jordan Ricky, Kobe Hetherington. Straight up, I'll just shout out before I forget anything. Jordan Ricky, I thought, had a great game. I was pretty happy. He made 14 runs, so he was up there. Post-contact meters were 49, but it was the tackling. He got through 39 tackles, 6 missed, 2 ineffective, but 1 error as well. So I thought, when you put him side by side with Jack, again, it was that side that was kind of getting peppered with Ricky on the other side, but at the same time, Jack didn't get through a bunch of work, even though they were scoring through there. I think Jack would be pretty shit off with himself, to be honest, with that game. I can't imagine he would have had a good night's sleep after it. So it'd be interesting to see what does happen. Because like you said, Piakura came on and he looked like a man who was playing for a jersey. So be interesting to see if that goes back to back.
Yeah, mate. Now, I think Jordan, obviously, we know what you're going to get with Ricky. Like, I think that one error too, I don't know if it was a handling error. I'm pretty sure that was a penalty conceded when he had a brain explosion and laid on old Bungie for a bit too long, and in a critical time too. And I was swearing at him, but I was like, Jordan's done nothing wrong all game, and these fellas, everyone else around him keeps dropping the ball. Like, he was just frustrated. He had a blinder of a game, and like we said, all last year they weren't using our second rows enough. He got through 14 hit-ups this game, which is, last year they were lucky to get 7. So, and it is a problem for me that Jack's only taken 5 hit-ups. And only made 13 tackles for a miss of 4. So his tackle efficiency is way down. And unfortunately for him, since that got exposed, mate, teams are going to, if I think it's just going to have to push Madge's hand to either, he's going to have to put in a big week. It's only against the Cowboys, but he's going to have a big week of defense to keep the spot, or Madge is going to have to make the call, because now every single team is going to be targeting Mariner and then Hunt Gajeski, because that's where they scored their points. So, I think there's going to be interesting. And there's no work rate there. And I know we're on the back foot a lot of the time, but some of those, mate, 13 tackles and 5 runs, you can't, he couldn't have been fatigued. So get back and bloody, take a couple of tough carries for the boys, when we're in trouble. So, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't think that was his best game. But other than that, mate, I think all the forwards done really well. Paddy and Payne, what do you say? They're probably the best front row pairing in the club. Ricky was great. And Kobe, it's interesting for not a really big man how well he can put his nose through at times. Like that offload to X that he dropped, it was a little bit low, but I mean, he's got an innate ability for not a big man to just come up with those little plays like that. And I think, if there was someone else sniffing around for that offload, we'd probably go over. Big X could have just caught it too. But, I think Heslington's really growing into that 13 role, especially when he gets that little break, because he just comes out like a bulldog again. And, so it'll be interesting to see how that keeps progressing. That obviously looks like the play. Payne and Hetherington go off. You get your 2 other props on. Paddy drops back. Yeah, so, mate, once again, you can't really fault the forwards, except, Jack just let in those couple of tries, mate. So, that's going to be a problem. He has to stiffen up, or teams are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I did find it interesting that Madge subbed him off at the 48-minute mark. So I don't know whether words were said in the sheds at halftime, like, mate, you need to up your work rate, or you're getting hooked or something. But he got straight off 8 minutes into the second half.
Which is that's odd, because that doesn't seem like a planned one. You reckon it'd be like 10 or 15 minutes he'd be on there, and then let Piakura have the last 25. But 48 sounds like, bro, you haven't done enough for me. So that's it. And I mean, that might be just what Madge. He left him on more against the Roosters because he was having a great game. He identified that he wasn't having a great game. Get him off, get somebody else on. Yeah. We'll address that during the week, sort of thing. But it was good to see Piakura go on and have a fair stint this time. I'll just echo what you said, Carrigan. I did see somebody tried to compare last week's game to this week's game with the amount of runs, everything like that. You can't do that. You can't do a blowout 50-point game compared to a tight 10 match, 10 points in it. Everything's going to be less in this game than what it is the week before. And what are they going to say? Paddy had a quiet game. He had 17 runs, 46 post contact for 29 tackles. If that's a quiet game,
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, you're looking at Haas, we're praising Haas. Haas made one more run, and he made 7 more tackles.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's anyway. Happy days again. I thought we were solid. I just the execution we needed to do, and this was the first time that they were really pressured this season. Even in the trial games, we weren't really pressured that much. I did think that it looked like we were waiting to weather the storm a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was the case going through their head, I'm not sure. But it was like, hang on, if a couple of these things stick, we're right back in this. Let's just bide our time, stick to our game plan and whatnot.
Exactly.
So maybe there'll be some positive chat from Madge as well. Like, hey guys, you did well. We just need to polish these end bits off.
Yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the sheds to see if Madge went off. Adam, and sort of interested to see what Standard said. It is interesting when he said, I'm still learning how this squad responds and all that sort of stuff. So, which is dead true. It's his second NRL game, and he got ambushed by a Raiders team that could do no wrong. So, it'll be very interesting to see what he does. And, mate, if we want to be a team that is in contention this year, I would hate to be the Cowboys next week at home.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be the truth. All right, we'll move on to the bench. We had Walters, Corey Jensen, Xavier Willison, Brendan Piakura, 18th man with Tyson Smoothie. That didn't get activated, thankfully. The bench actually were the best tackle efficiency in the team. They were running at 90.5%, made 86 tackles in between all of them there. Corey Jensen and Xavier Willison came on and absolutely did a job defending. 32 tackles to Jensen with 1 miss and 31 tackles to Willison with 2 misses. Great effort there. I think Jensen did his job to a T. He did 7 runs, wasn't really heavily involved with that, but that's the whole idea of the rotation that we now have with House and Carrigan, especially with Carrigan playing them longer minutes. Get out there, defend, take a bit of workload off the boys, and then get off and let the other guys run through them, sort of thing. So I positive signs there. They didn't really, obviously they, low on the runs, low on the post-contact meters, not a lot of tackle break going on, but I guess you just had to look at the game that was unfolding. Mr. Walters, I don't like bagging the players, okay, because they're trying, I'm sitting here, not there, all that sort of thing. But I just feel like after last week when he came on and he did his thing and he was great, he was really good, I feel like maybe the pressure, he was trying to do a bit too much on his own sort of thing. There was a few things there where he just,
that time he took on the short side on tackle 5 or something. Nelly went over something.
Yeah.
So lucky he got that ball back. Honestly, I wanted the bloody red card him then, but it's just that's brain explosions that he still has in his game. He's been playing for years now. Like we said last week, that's all we wanted from you, Bill, and that Roosters game. Come on, make your tackles, give good service. That's it. Figure out this call. Like, we don't want you to be creating. We've got enough creatives. Just go and do your job. That's why Pakes is the 9 and you're not, because he's obviously got the memo. So, and it just silly shit. Same thing. He can do it. He can be that guy for us, and he just continues to have these brain explosions. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but other than that, Willison, I thought he had a bit of a rocky start when he came on there, but he certainly warmed into the game.
Yeah.
He started doing some big things there, like he nearly scored that try. Good support play with Kobe. Just quietly as well, Kobe got a bit of speed about him, eh?
He does for a little fucking bulldog, doesn't he?
A little sneaky sort of...
Yeah.
Sneaky get around about in there. But yeah, the big one was Brendan. I feel like he came on. He certainly knew he was on the field.
Yeah.
He made himself known. Just looking at him here, I'm surprised he only got through 12 tackles. So I do wonder if that is going to update, because I swear he was involved in a lot more than that. while I was watching, but he did make the most runs from the bench.
Yeah.
He topped the bench there with 8. Only 21 post contact, but they were wrapping him up pretty good.
And it was only 31 minutes or something too, wasn't he? So
Yeah, something like that. So, but all in all, I think, there was a solid team effort, just lacked a bit of polish. We've got a good chance next week against the Cows to sort of finesse a few things. And then before we get into some more difficult opponents after that. But we do have, I think we've got 2 games at home now in a row, I believe.
Yeah, I think they said that's 10 out of the next 13 we got at home. So
okay.
Thank you, Jesus. We'll keep filling up that Suncorp. You just keep putting the games on there.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we have, so we've got the Cows at home, the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium, but it's technically a Dolphins home game. And then we've got the Tigers at home. Then we have the Roosters again at home. And then we get into the Warriors. And that's Go Media Stadium over in Auckland, where they just ambushed the Sea Eagles. So I would probably put a circle around by the time we hit the Roosters. We really want to be starting to hit our straps. It seems like the Roosters may have found a few things there that they needed to find after our game. So we'll see how their couple of games go as well. But we've got the Cows, the Dolphins, and the Tigers. We should be able to bank some points in there, test out a few players, test out a few, I don't know what you want to call, couple of pairings and whatnot. We'll get Stags back in that time as well. So that'll be good. Any further chat on the bench there, mate?
Mate, I'm just interested to see if Pecura does get the starting spot. Jack doesn't go onto the bench, does he? You don't? Do you imagine, or is this a Pecura or Marty time if Pecura runs on? It'd just be interesting, wouldn't it? Because I
That's
can't
a good
see
question.
anyone else bloody playing an edge if we need an edge. But is that something we can get away with? Like, would we have rather have Marty or Big Ben on the bench the other day? Oh, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
I think if Jack drops out, he drops right out somehow.
Ooh.
Because
I don't know.
Value if he?
I would like to think that he stays on the bench.
Okay.
Just purely like Marty can do the job, I guess. As no, he can't really, can he? He's more in the middle there.
Yeah.
Although he was giving him a bit of a nudge when he was coming on late last year, giving the boys a bit of a hurry up. But I would think that maybe he comes on. Yeah, he'd stay on the bench. I'll say that he stays on the bench.
Just rotating through the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I can't see Jensen, Willison, and a Decora bench. I think that's pretty big. That's a massive bench. And then maybe he's the Hetherington rest. Just goes on.
Yeah, get in the middle.
He's going to want to do a bit more tackling if he's got to do that sort of thing. But yeah, that will be. It'll also be interesting to see what happens if they decide to run Moser back.
Yeah,
because that might. I mean, Pakesy's a solid nugget. He could have a go if he needs to. If he's going to be the 14.
Yeah. He can play
that might answer that sort of problem there as well. So interesting
Moser
times
have to
ahead.
do well to take it off him at the minute.
With a bung shoulder.
Which would be shit hot having Moser come on when they're tired.
Yeah. Moser with that shoulder injury, you wouldn't be throwing him in there the way that Pakesy's going now.
Yeah.
Even if Walters, like, hopefully he doesn't, but if he shits the bed completely, you put Smoothie at 14 before you bring Moser on, surely. And then just have Walters sitting at 18th man there or something like that. So, or maybe that's Jack's role. He goes to 18 and they do bring a Takora or a Marty on.
It'll just be interesting to see that makeup if they do make that switch, whether he comes back to the bench or, because I just can't, impact value I can't see in him. He's the whole point of having Jack out there is the consistency, plug a hole, plod along, don't make any mistakes. If that goes away, I can't see the sort of value of having him on the bench because they'll still be found out by defense, by attack.
Yeah.
So, it'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let us know, Thoroughbreds, what you reckon.
Bloody hell.
I've seen a couple of good calls. We'll get to it in a bit. Seen a couple of good calls getting around with our bench going forward. But we'll get on to the rivalries now. Shibasaki v Mariner and Gosowski v Piakura. Just a bit of a comparison here.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go Shibasaki and Mariner. I think Mariner definitely stamped a name onto this game. So I would say that we're 1-1. Shibasaki had a great game last week, and Mariner certainly stepped up to the plate this week. So neither of them scored a try. Runs, Mariner topped that with 16 v12 meters. He was sighting, it ran out of sight on a dark night kind of thing. 231 meters compared to Shibasaki's 113. Line breaks, Mariner got that again, 2-0. Not much there with the try assist going on. Tackle breaks, they were 6 apiece. So they were good there. Tackling, though, 88.2% was what Mariner was running at against Shibasaki's 50%. So he certainly outclassed him there. And errors, they were, here and all there. 1 penalty for Mariner and 1 inside the 10 from Shibasaki. So just trying to get up and get pressure there. So 1-1, Mariner v Shibasaki will go for the tiebreaker against the Cowboys. How much have they got? Round 5. So they've still got 2 more games to go to fight that out. All right, we'll look at Gosowski, Piakura. We won't really go too much into this because we've kind of just talked about it a fair bit at length there. But yeah, Piakura definitely lit the board up. Green lights everywhere here. 8 runs over Jack's 5, which is telling considering he was run on. The meters, 48 to 29. All 0 with when it came to line break assist, all 0 when it came to try assist. Tackle breaks, Piakura got 1, which is 1 more than what Gosowski made. Tackling as well, he got up 85.7% up against Jack's 76.4%, and they went clean sheet with the errors. So it was good to see that. The errors certainly weren't a factor, but Piakura definitely came on with a bit more energy than what Jack did. So we'll put that one down to 1 apiece as well. Not really sure, like we said, how long they've got to fight this out.
Unfortunately for Piakura, if Jack gets a rocket this week and then Madge gives him another shot, you shouldn't say this because they'll probably pump us because we've been so... But, I mean, the Cows don't look great. So Jack could look good against the Cows team, you know what I mean? And then until we need him, it'll be interesting when you got like, who will it be? Lee Malillo, Finifuaki, Max Plath, that sort of against the Dolphins that could find him in it again, So, it'll be interesting to see what Madge does, but it's probably unfortunate for Piakura that Jack might get an easier run next week.
Yeah, true that. True. We'll keep our eyes on that one anyway. All right. Well, that's the review. All dusted. Now we don't have a Gronk segment. He's taken the Sharks loss a little bit harder than what we thought. No, he's flat out. He's enjoying a bit of father time. Boy did well in the SuperCoach over the weekend, and we'll get to that in a little bit. He should go out of service
more often, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. Just dust him. See you later, mate. But he'll be back next week. It'll be a bit of a doozy of a segment as well, especially with whatever result we end up with. So that'll be good. All right. We will look ahead to the week that is coming. Just real quick, we'll run through the injuries and the judiciary. Fletcher Baker still with that MCL. Katoni Staggs with the quad. Blake Moser with the shoulder. No added to that list from over the weekend, thankfully. Ezra Mann, he's still off until round 10. Corey Pakes got penalised during the game for a dangerous tackle. He's ended up with a $1,000 fine. Clear to play. I dare say that'll be just carryover points. Kobe got cited after the game for a crusher tackle on Zach Hosking. Now, that comes with a $3,000 fine with an early guilty plea. Definitely will have some carryover points going on there.
Yeah.
But he is clear to play this weekend.
That's a fair.
Now,
so I dare say one more infringement and he'll have to sit down for a week.
Yeah, 3,000 is up there for sure. So, and so the game ahead, as we mentioned before, Broncos v Cowboys at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Friday the 21st at 7 p.m. Get down there and get amongst it. I'm sure it'll be an absolute bumper crowd. Everyone will be pretty keen to get out of their houses after Alfred. So first home game as well at Suncorp. So let's get in amongst it. Raiders, I haven't updated that, so apologies for that one. But Cowboys have not started the year well. Couple of things going on there. I'm obviously in the heartland of Cowboys territory here in Townsville, and I'm hearing all the rumours about Todd's coaching job on the line. The CEO is leaving. He's resigning or moving on, as they like to say in corporate speech. So she really, they've got Lolo off injured. They've just dropped Nanai. Got a couple of debutantes that got found out on the weekend. Like I said, I was at the game. I've never seen, and it's hot up here, but on the day it was overcast. There was a breeze going through. I'm not out obviously tackling and whatnot, but I've never seen so many players from both teams walking within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Like AFB was struggling to get back. Then you had the likes of Cotter and McLean were in no rush to get there. It was a really interesting sort of just watching it from the sidelines about and what was going on. We ended up leaving, midway through the second half to get home for the Broncos to start. Yes. And when I got back, I seen that the Sharks had gone on with it and put them to the sword a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how we start. We won't have that temperature difference. Obviously, they'll be down in the Suncorp land there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what team Todd Payton runs out this week, whether Clifford's there and whether Duffy keeps that 7 or not. But what are your thoughts?
That's like the two teams with the young, they've had a big turnover, so the young boys are coming through. Like the Raiders and the Cowboys are miles apart at the moment, aren't they? Like, Cows just look disinterested, mate. Poor bastards. I don't know. I seen that one. There was one kick where Murray Tuolungi was running back with no pressure, and he just didn't even look like catching it. He's one of the senior players that plays Origin and plays out of his skin. He just looks disinterested. Scotty Drinkwater, possibly the worst bloody fullback defender in the game. Anyway, they just look disinterested. So no doubt they'll turn that all around when they come up to Suncorp, because they always do, and they'll have a red hot crack. Cotter will bloody play out of his skin and all that. They need to turn it around.
Yeah, they need to do something for sure. Head to head, we've played them 58 times. We ended up getting 37 wins to the 20. At the moment, well, as the stats are standing at the moment, they're completing a lot better than us, surprising. But that obviously doesn't get help with what we completed down there in Canberra. Tackle efficiency, they're also doing a lot better than us there. Wins this season, as I said, we are 1 compared to their 0. At the venue, the win rate for us is 58%. For the Cowboys, it's 44%. We last met at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in round 23 of 2024, and as poor as we were going at the back end of that year, we did pump them. I think we went Knights into Cowboys or something, and then we ended up coming up against the Storm in the last round there or something. But possession was 50%, both teams. Completion was both teams again 78%.
Yeah.
But the tackle efficiency, we ended up doing them 90.44% up against 83.98. Their last 4 games, and this includes the preseason challenge, was a loss to the Dolphins, a win over the Storm, a loss to Manly, and then a loss to the Sharks there. And we've gone, obviously, Titans W, Bulldogs W, Roosters W, with our loss coming to Canberra. Mate, I know we've sort of talked about it as well, but yeah, if you want to give us a quick rundown on what you're expecting?
Mate, I really hope we just do fundamental footy. Just get through the sets. Don't care about what the score is. We just complete and we score off the back of when we earn the right to spread the ball, sort of thing, like we did with the Roosters. Like, nothing flash, especially for the first half. I just want bugger all errors, bash them up the middle like we know we can do to any team in the comp, and then you get off the back of that. So, yeah, I want them to put a score on. I want them to show that flamboyancy and show the comp that we can be good. But I think they already know that we can be good. We need to show ourselves how to just get through a game of footy with, over 80% completion, good tackle efficiency, and, just do the fundamentals right, because we know the rest will come. That's what's so frustrating about a loss like we did to the Raiders, is that we played like absolute dog shit and we still nearly got away with it. Like, it's hilarious how that can happen to a team. So, I think we'd be right, mate. That's the main thing I want to see is just simplistic shit in the first half at least, and just see how we go from there.
Yeah. For myself, I don't want to see points up the middle. I think we really got to tighten that up. If they score around on our edges, fine, so be it. Happy days. They did well. But I just, after what the Raiders just did to us with Big Nicholson, I just don't want to see any points there when they're 20 out defending our line. They're going to have to go around us to score. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a big thing for me that I want to see. So anyway, best of luck, and we'll all be cheering them on anyway. So
exactly.
Hopefully. All right. We'll get into some tipping. Fucking horrendous in the tipping here. Now, our tipping comp doesn't get updated in real time, so I found out today. So I had a quick look through to see. Oh, maybe it's up now. Okay, so it is up now, so we can have a look. Slippery Gypsy, better known as Langers, he won the week, so good on him. He'll be pretty pumped about that. He got 5, and he tied with Kate 1812. They did really well, got 5, so good on them. Turns out that the Gronk didn't put his tips in on the app. but because he got all the away teams, then he still scored 4.
Week to not put your tips in.
Yeah. So I mean, hats off to you if that's your play. All us poor bastards that put our tips in and went shit. We should just not bother next week. But mate, you were the next one off the rank with your 4. I got 4 as well. A couple of the high flyers from last round didn't go so well this round, so we're starting to level back out again. But no, good stuff, Langers and Kate, for your tipping this week. No one's yet to go perfect weekend. So
if they got a perfect round this week, it'd be an AI bot, surely to Christ, because no living human could have tipped this week the way it would have went with the Panthers and shit in the bed, and Manly absolutely getting roasted over there. So,
like I put up on the socials, this is the most round 1, round 2 ever. It was wild.
This is what always happens. Like every year, this shit happens, and that's what throws next week's tips into absolute disarray. Because you're like second guessing yourself, going, "Well, what the fuck do I do now?" So,
that's it.
Love the sport.
That's it. And then when it comes to our SuperCoach comp, the Immortals, or better known as the Gronk, he dusted everyone. 1,456 points. So
that's a big score.
That's a big score. I'm yet to see bigger, so it'll be interesting to see when the results come out next week where he's sitting.
I haven't seen any in the other leagues that come close to that. I've seen a few 1400s, but no 1450s.
Yeah, and Guru and Timmy, for those that follow SC Playbook and Rugby League Guru, they ended up with 13 and 12, 1300 and 1200 or something like that. So he's certainly given the competition a fair shake there, so good on him. I'll read out their tips for the week coming up, and then I'll get yours, mate. So a little bit of difference here going on as well. I like to see it. Like you said, that it just throws everyone's tips out and everyone goes left, right, and centre. So the Gronks, he's gone the Panthers for a bounce back, which is smart. I can see why he's done that. Warriors, he's high on them as well after what they just did. He's gone the Cowboys. Now,
what?
Yeah, he's gone the Cowboys. So maybe he's thinking that there is an upset looming here because we all know Gronk, he uses his head more than his heart. Yeah, and he never tips the Cowboys. So anyway, he's gone the Sharkies, the Tigers, the Knights, Bulldogs, and the Raiders, which is all fair and play there. Langers has gone the Storm, though, to get one over the Panthers. I've had the week off. They've prepared, pretty well. He's gone the Roosters. He's liked the fight back that they had this week. He's backed the Broncos, obviously. Then he's gone Sharks, Tigers, Knights, Bulldogs, Raiders as well.
Okay.
Now I'll get yours, mate, and then I'll reveal mine. Are you any different to those?
Mine's pretty different, actually. I've gone the Storm. Okay. I've gone the Storm too, just because I'm bellyache, not going to forgive the grand final, and they got a week off. I think that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
I've gone the Wars. Maybe they've, they're a team of confidence players. So if they've got their tails up, I think they'll be hard to beat. I've got us by 25 plus. The Broncos, and then so I've gone the Sharkies. I've actually gone the Dolphins. I think they've
right.
They're a team that's going to hang in. I think they'll be fine. I've also gone the Titans again. I've doubled down on the Titans, mate, only because today was their round one.
Yep.
Like, the Bulldogs are tipped to be a top 4 team this year, and they only just got away with the Titans, who gave them 3 tries early on. They just looked like round one footy to me. So I reckon they'll come back next week bigger and better. I've actually gone the Eels. That's
a fucking huge call. Jesus.
That's a big upset. But if they're that bad 3 weeks in a row, well, goodbye, never tipping them again. And then I've gone the Raiders.
Yeah, okay. All right. Sounds good. I've gone Storm, mainly for that, Bellamy grand final. They've had 2 weeks to just pull them apart. He would have seen something in that game against the Roosters there. So I am tipping the Storm. It's at home as well. So the Storm in Amy Park after a week off, you're not going to get any more difficult. Warriors, I have backed the Warriors only because I don't know if the Roosters can get up 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Again,
huge drain.
Huge call. So done that. Broncos, fucking 13 plus. Easy money. Sharkies, I've gone the Sharkies. The Rabbits are great. They hang in there, but it was the Dragons.
Yeah.
I think the Sharks have just got. I think the Sharks have got too much experience and talent in the halves there to bother on. I've gone the Tigers. Now, I like what you said about the Dolphins, that they'll hang in there. The Tigers, at the start, the first 30 minutes of that game, I don't know if you watched it, but it was one of the most boringest games I've ever fucking seen. And again, the Eels just faded hard, in the second half there and whatnot. But I've gone the Tigers just because of that confidence.
Yeah.
Dolphins are lacking a bit of it at the moment. They've been, getting punched around a bit. So I've gone the Tigers for that. I've gone the Knights. I wanted to go to the Titans. I really wanted them to have a good game. They did come back today, but I'm just going to have to go the Knights. Just the flair wasn't there that I wanted to see from Brimo and Kinney and all that. Big Tino had a fucking huge game though, so good on him for coming back from that injury. Can't wait to have you back in the Queensland team, mate. Bulldogs, I have gone the Bulldogs. They are fading hard at the end of games though. I am wondering if that's a concern.
And that's the notes I had written down that I couldn't find before why I went to Eels.
Yeah.
Bird and Kicker will be out. They both go in MCL. So
that's true.
Your 5'8" and your most destructive second rower is pretty big boots to fill. So that's sorry, I had that written down a bucket so I could find it. And then so that's why I went to Eels. I think there's an ambush waiting there with those two big outs.
Yeah, I've got no hope on the Eels, hey. Fucking poor old Jason Rolls. What a job to walk into. Never coached. Well, I mean, he has coached, I guess. He's been a fill-in coach and whatnot, but this is his first grade. And
exactly.
Jesus. Poor old Lomax looked like he didn't want to be there today.
Yeah. And the Dragons are going pretty good.
Yeah. And then I went, this was my most difficult one to pick. All right. I wanted to go the Eagles as well, but just they haven't really released much with the turbo and the DCE thing. I know that they've said that they've cleared of any serious injury, but I still think that they'll be carrying a bit of a niggle there. And the Raiders,
I mean, absolutely mad when they to run turbo this week.
Yeah, you'd just bring in Cooler, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would say
just give him a rest and bring him in. But yeah, the Raiders, I feel like they'll be high on that supply from the Broncos win, and they'll march into Brookie and give it a red hot crack. Try and not get ambushed like every other team does. So yeah, that's my tips. But hey, I went fucking 4 from 8. So what do I know?
Follow at your own peril.
Righto. Well, best bet. So once again, Thoroughbreds, tune in on Thursdays. Where we will release videos of each of the panel members' best bets. This week just gone. Ringer and the Gronk hit. Well done with you boys.
Thank you very much.
Putting money back in the kitty. That was good. I missed out on a Herbie who just didn't seem to want to be there at all.
Yeah.
And then I believe, and then obviously Langers went the 13 plus with the Broncos, trying to go for a 3-peat. 4-peat, actually.
4-peat, yeah.
4-peat. Better than Panthers. But that wasn't to be. So tune in Thursday for our next one. That means that we missed also 2 legs of our Bronco bet. So unfortunately, no giveaway on today's podcast, but we are hanging out for that giveaway, Thoroughbreds. Make sure you get your bets on. Follow us. You just got to put 1 cent on. And if you do that, show us your winning slip. You're in the draw to win some of that giveaway. We also are back to doing the road to 1 million. It went horrible over the weekend, just so you are aware. But we will be doing it again. We'll release that on the socials on Thursday as well this week. So what we do there is, if you're new, random number generator, we do the 8 games. Each panel member takes 2 games. We got to think of a minimum 2-leg multi for each game. Obviously, we get horrendous odds when we combine all that together. Often it's from $1 to 1 cent. We can only put on because the max payout is $1 million. And then we just let that ride and have some fun and see how close we can get. If we win that, there will be signs. We'll also tell you, most likely. So yeah, this week, Jack, you've got the Storm Panthers and the Warriors Roosters. Timmy's going to cover the local derby there, Broncos Cowboys, with the Sharks Rabbits. I've got the Dolphins and the Tigers, and the Titans and the Knights, and then the Gronk, Eels, Bulldogs, Manly Raiders. So that's the breakdown for this week coming. So tune in, Thoroughbreds, to see that one. All right, a bit of wrap up before we wrap up. I had Dylan Brown to the Knights on here to talk about, but if you don't mind, I think it's been talked to death in the media.
Yeah.
Real quick, I think it's a terrible idea. I don't like it. 10 years, Dill Brown and Kalen on a big money contracts. I think it's a club killer. That's just my opinion, though. it might work out. What are yours, real quick?
Yeah, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
I reckon it's an awful deal. I reckon they
Yep.
need a 7 for a start. They need a game manager. They've got Fletcher Sharp and Callum Ponga as ball runners. They don't need another ball runner. So, yeah, I think it's a terrible, terrible, terrible decision. Not that Dylan's not a good player, but he's not a 7, and that's what they need. So, good. Congrats. Sign the fuck out of that deal. Like,
man. That's like I seen somebody, if that was my son, I'd be driving him fucking down the road to sign it. Like,
with a pen. Here, bro.
Yeah.
This is the signing it with. Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, so that's that one done. Now, what I do want to talk about, we have another one here, but what I do want to talk about, I did see on the socials that somebody has gone, Ezra man to 14. And for the life of me, I've got no idea why I didn't think of that. I guess I was just so much like Ezra is a 6. He has to be 6 or he's not in the team. And then we need a hooker at 14 or like a proper utility. But I actually don't mind the shout. I think that solves a lot of issues as well when it comes to injuries with Moser. The Walters thing, where do you do Walters? Well, he just drops back to 18 potentially. And it solves if we're winning and it's not broken on the field, why fix it? Why move Hunt into 9? I still stand by that. I think we want fresh legs at 6. But I mean, hey, I don't know what the bench rotation looks like then as well. When does he get a play? Like, is Corey Pakes expected to play 80 minutes? And then Hunty gets a rest, or does Rano get a rest? Hunt goes to 7, all that sort of stuff. But what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, mate, I did see that pop up, and I think the first signs of Benny might want to be in the middle is from the weekend with those defensive sort of, but it all depends on what they do on that side. Like if he keeps getting found out on that edge because we can't seem to plug a hole, then I think, the smart play would be to put him back in the middle. But, Ezra was often found out there at 6 too. So, but honestly, I don't know how I feel about him at 14. I just don't know whether he can plug a hole in that middle rotation, because I think Corey these days, I don't think it's smart to go with an 80-minute 9 just because they get too busted. Like whether Ezra can, give him 10-minute break before half time, so he's got, the whole half and 10 minutes on top of that to have a rest and then play the last 40, and then you plug Ezra back in when everyone else is tired and just tell him to roam. There's, that's an option too, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's a long season, mate. We got a good chance that one of those old fellas is going to go down. So Ezra, like that, the problem will probably be taken out of the hands anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going, mate, I think Ezra's just got to go pay his dues and cook up and get that defense right. So it's only going to be next year, and then it'll be his, and that he will get a shot during the season anyway. So it's just so hard to fit them all in, like you said. If they just go and do Moses' shoulder surgery now, that would make it a bit easier, because you can say, okay, well, Pakesy and Hunt, we can turn into a 9-14 rotation, and Moses and Mam comes back in. But yeah, with Moses hanging around, mate, I think it'd be silly not to let him play in that 14 role. So yeah,
I think with Origin as well, Ezra will get his shot to prove his wares through Origin. I dare say Hunty will get the call up again. I think a lot of problems will solve themselves. But I'm more open to the idea of him being at 14 if they can get the rotation to work. Yeah, I reckon it's not a bad shout. So the other one was Selwyn Cobbo. So also interesting enough, the Katoni Staggs contract, which was rumoured to come out before round 1. Obviously, his injury there, they may be wanting to hold that announcement up until he does come back. Yeah. That's actually gone real quiet lately. So it'll be interesting to see what that comes out. But talking about contracts, the rumour is that Selwyn Cobbo will extend with the Brisbane Broncos for 1 year, and then taking up a contract with the PNG expansion team that's meant to come in around 2027. Now, how I feel about this, sure, if that's what he wants to do, that's great. Like, I that's great for him. There's plenty of benefit for him. It's bold of him as well. That's a long way from home.
Yes.
When he's all been about that, family and getting back home and getting back to his roots and all that sort of stuff. So that's a long way. But I'm also interested to see how the PNG team will actually work. Are they going to be based in Port Moresby, or are they going to be based in Australia? Because for anyone who has been over into Papua New Guinea, if you're going to have an expansion team and it's going to be the Papua New Guinea, you need to have it in Papua New Guinea, as far as I'm concerned. It needs to be there. Otherwise, there's no point. They love their rugby league over there. They're mental for it. But logistically, training-wise, family, all that sort of stuff, that's a massive relocation effort. So I'll be interested to get your thoughts if you've got any on that, mate.
Yeah, and, while we're talking about that, you've worked up there, Britto. Let's not sugarcoat it. If you go up there to work, you've got to be in a compound. It's not exactly rainbows and butterflies up there. So people that go up is going to be very difficult.
Definitely.
I dare say they would be more successful running out of Cairns in recruitment, to get players. If that means that they transition to take it home eventually once they get their shit sorted out, then, I'm all for that. They got $600 million worth of Australian taxpayers' money, so hopefully they sort some fucking thing out. But I think it'd be great if he does sign an extra year extension at least. I think hopefully the Broncos media team is putting that rumor out there. It's like, just sign for another year and then you can get him lots of PNG. But the more I see someone, the less I think he's going to go. Doesn't look disinterested this year. He looks better than he's ever looked. I think he understands that there's a couple of older heads there that are going to move soon and there will be cap space. So, he might be just buying his time, mate. And if he keeps playing like that, he'll get an upgrade. Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing. Just give me 1 year and then we'll see it at the end, who's actually moved on and whatnot. But look, the PNG, I am interested to see what the PNG side is going to. That's when they announced that, it's huge for Papua New Guinea, straight massive out the gate. That's massive, regardless of where they're located or whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like the amount of money that the government has handed over, they would be looking, if they weren't running out of Cairns, they would be looking at a standalone precinct for the team.
Yeah.
And I mean, that brings its own benefits to the community over there. That if you're moving a team over there, you got to have the best doctors, you got to have the best healthcare, all that, and that would be then open to the public that's over there. So huge community benefits and whatnot that I can see. But getting you over there, getting your family over there, the schooling and everything that's going to go on with your kids and all that sort of stuff, that's going to be a massive task for the recruitment agency. So it'd be very, very interesting to see how they do that. But it won't be the only NRL team running out of Cairns, that's for sure, because the Cowboys NRLW team is playing out of there this year, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
So they've been relocated up that way. But, I mean, positive that rumours are that Cobbo wants to stay for at least 1 year.
Exactly.
And if he wants to stay for more and get an upgrade after that, then hopefully we have the cap space for him.
Definitely.
But he certainly started off the year better than what he has, I think, in most other years. But anyway, you got anything else, mate?
No, mate, not really. I think sort of covered most of what we want to say there. We'd really love to hope someone stays and keeps playing like he's playing.
Yeah.
He's the freak, isn't he? He really is.
He really is. He's a natural wonder, if you will. All right. Hopefully we've convinced you that the game wasn't that bad. Even the Panthers lose. Yeah.
Exactly. This week. Everyone lost this week.
That's all from us here. Thoroughbreds. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening. Get in the comments. Let us know what you want to see more of, what you like, what you don't like, all that sort of stuff. We're on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube, all that sort of good stuff. So get around it, get amongst it. Head over to our socials as well and get involved. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So like, comment, subscribe, follow, all that sort of good stuff. Help us really grow the platform here. Bet responsibly, be a contributor to society, stay out one another, unless it's consensual, of course. And we'll gallop off into another week. Catch us later.
See you, Thoroughbreds. Heads up.